We're talking about tanks, troops, and tires now, and what's wrong, perhaps, with Russian logistics. And we're really happy to have somebody who started this conversation going for thousands of people. Trent Telenko is a former staff specialist with the U.S. Defense Department and a former U.S. Army vehicle auditor, and he joins us now. Trent, it's great to have you because I, as I say, like tens of thousands of other people, saw a Twitter thread that you put up early in the first week or two of the war. You shared photos that you had found on Twitter about your experience working on Army vehicles, but more important, about those bogged down tanks, trucks. We're looking at some of them now. That may have been hit as well. But I'm just wondering about what have you seen?
All right, those two photos you saw were pictures of U.S. Army FMTV trucks that were sent back to Sealy, Texas after being hit by IEDs. It is because I was there when those trucks were coming in that I could recognize what was going on with the Russian vehicles in Ukraine. And when it came to tires, I spent 10 years auditing preventive maintenance on trucks that the Army had purchased from the contractor, hadn't been delivered yet. What that meant was that I could tell at a glance what was going on with the Russian tires. Most modern trucks have something called the central tire inflation system. It's basically a little electronic device that sends air out to the tires so you can go in mud and not get stuck. The problem with the system and with tires is it has to be exercised between once a week and once a month. And when we saw a $20 million Russian air defense vehicle stuck in the mud with its tire ripped apart, I understood immediately that if you're not maintaining a $20 million air defense vehicle, that, just driving it once a month, you're not going to be doing that with trucks. And what that means is when the Russians moved into Ukraine, vehicles that had not been moved in over a year, and they started using the central tire inflation system, well, the sides of the tires get very brittle by being out in the sun and not being moved. So when you air them down and crunch down the tires, suddenly all that brittle rubber cracks and the tires flatten. And in the case of the picture that I used to start that thread, you see the tire literally rip apart in the mud. The thing about corruption that they taught me as a government auditor is it cannot be centralized. If you've got someone at the top saying, well, I'm not going to buy the 100,000-mile tire, I'm going to buy the 40,000-mile tire and pocket the difference and put that on Russian trucks, that means everyone else in the chain of command is doing similar things to pocket a little bit of that money. So if you saw something so basic on so expensive a vehicle, it told everyone that knew anything about motor pools and preventive maintenance, the Russians weren't doing it. And you can talk with some, go ahead.
You sent us a bunch of images. Were those your images that we were airing just a minute ago? You could see them on the screen, right?
Those were,
all right, let's air those again. Let's air those again and explain what we're looking at, why you sent those to us, because you wanted to make a point about these specific images. So go ahead.
All right, that vehicle that you just saw was, and the ones that you're seeing are trucks that came back from Iraq in 2005 and 2006 to be rebuilt in Sealy, Texas. You're seeing the effect of blast of a mine, a big explosive planted on the side of the road, sending fragments through an unarmored vehicle. All right, right there, you're seeing a steel bed on a truck. Russian trucks don't use steel beds, they use wood. It's cheaper. We use it in commercial trucking all the time. The problem is in a real war, when a blast goes off, that wood shatters and there's flying fragments that will eviscerate troops that are anywhere near it. This is the difference between an army that fights a lot of wars and an army that does internal security. They make those kind of make or buy decisions reflect the kind of missions that the army has. Right now,
Trent,
Russia, go ahead.
Well, I thank you very much. You're describing for us exactly what I think so many people find so interesting about your contributions on this subject. That there's the old line, for the want of a nail, the horse was lost, right? And it goes all the way down to the want of the nail, the kingdom was lost.
Yes.
Right. And that's they're not rotating their tires, they're not maintaining them, and you're also talking about corruption, people skimming some of the procurement budget and putting it in their own pockets. So is the Russian force outdated or corrupt or inexperienced? How do you read what we're seeing that is so surprising to the world that thought this was a mighty army?
And can they withstand Ukrainian assets?
Well, Russia has a huge army. It is an army that is much bigger than Ukraine's. And when it comes to logistics, they focus on railways, not trucks, because railways are cheaper. You can move more heavy equipment, longer distances. The Russians build their army around rails, and trucks move everything from the rails to wherever they want to go. NATO experts identified this weakness before the war. The Russians can move about 90 miles or 145 kilometers before they start reaching the end of their truck line of supply. They're trying to push to Kiev, which is a little over 150 kilometers, and the Ukrainians flooded the areas around the roads. So they're stuck on the road, so Ukrainian drones can go out and whack trucks. In other places, the Ukrainians have been ambushing trucks, and the heat from the vehicles are destroying pieces of the road. So even though the road is the same distance, because you've got roads filled with trucks with exploded ammunition all over the road, it's much deadlier, and it takes much longer to go the same distance because you've got to very slowly go around those scenes of wrecked trucks that you see over and over again on social media.
And that has slowed them down. The old saying, what do they say? That amateurs talk strategy, professionals talk logistics. And Trent Telenko, I think that's one of the things you've really brought to the discussion. That's at Trent Telenko on Twitter. And we thank you very much for your insight and help.
We're going to keep following you, Trent.
All right, glad to help.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.